Alright, it's Alok here again, and today's date is May 17, 2017. And I want to do another lesson in the dealing with the first day of creation that I just uploaded yesterday, entitled The First Day. So I didn't intend to do a part two, but let's just call this a part two, because I want to look at it again, because I know it's a long-standing issue. You know, what I've noted, and I'm going to be saying this a number of times over the next few months, is something that people are getting concerned about, and it has really bothered me as well, that the level of deception is so interwoven into everything that we read or encounter on a daily basis, just in our regular daily life, that finding the truth is a very, very laborious thing. And it sometimes gets people to be, it gets you to be very tired, like tired in your mind, or getting spiritually weary. Because there's so many people saying this, that, and the other different things. I guess you can't really get away from that. But the biggest problem I have is not that there is deception in the world. It is that the people who are saying that they are the Israelites today, they are teaching the wrong thing, knowing that it's the wrong thing. And I'm not saying necessarily about this topic, although there's some problems with this topic. And that doesn't, I'm not setting myself apart to say I've got the right answer right here. I'm presenting what I see that makes the best sense with the first day creation, in terms of the part of the verse that says, "And the evening and the morning were the first day." I'm presenting what I see as the best interpretation of that. But my problem is that while we have differences of opinion or differences in our interpretations, the big problem is that the old stalwarts of us, or that means the giants among us who say that they were taught by the first Israelites on American shores or so, first who started teaching in recent times, I mean, like 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, and they say it got passed on to them and so on and whatever. The problem is that those ones have been teaching and running their camps for so long, for decades, and they have come upon certain corrections when they grew and they learned that the leader that was teaching them, that first gave them this Israelite understanding, they understood upon further searching, and when they were able to finally buy some more books and seeing different things progress some more in the world in terms of prophecy or whatever, they get to learn some more stuff, and they see, oh, so my teacher was wrong in this point. He was correct in this, that, and the other one, but he was wrong on this particular point. He probably just didn't know. But the problem is that these people continue to teach the wrong thing because they are afraid to lose membership, and they are afraid to lose money. They are afraid to lose their quote-unquote political status within so-called Israel world today, meaning us, we the real Israelites. They're afraid to lose it, right? Because they lose following and money and support. And they feel that if people fall off from following me a little bit, I will look dumb, I will look like an idiot. So they got too much pride, and they got too much self in the way, they got too much flesh in the way. So they refuse to change and teach the truth. What is the point in studying to learn and praying all these years for the Most High to lead you into truth? And when it comes, you're like, you're too thin-skinned to look like you're changing something, like you look like an idiot because you're changing. That's when you look like an idiot. It's when you find the truth and don't change. Because if I'm trying to learn Torah and I see that I'm looking for truth, and I see that you found the truth but are hiding it, to me that makes you look like an idiot. Because what it tells me is that the book you are reading that you call Torah, it don't have anything to do with your heart. It has everything to do with your outside, like you wear the right garments. You got all the nice garments that I can't afford. I've not yet bought or made one piece of Hebrew garment. Not one. First of all, they're not where I'm at. But you're pushing that on me, and you are using Torah to adorn your outside, and you do not use it to furnish the inside of your heart. where all the different furnitures and so on might be the different parts of Torah. It does not furnish the inside of your heart. And some of the things that I've learned over time, the past year, I've made a lot of progress study-wise in the past year. And while I've got massive more, I've only just scratched the surface. The amount that I've covered in the past year has let me know that different things that wowed me in the first year when I understood that we're the Israelites, I understood that some of those things were wrong because I learned so much in this past year. And when I go back and I listen to the recordings that these people are teaching who I was listening to, and some of them have websites with blogs and so on, and I see the stuff that they write and post as well as teach in their videos, I realize that the truth was in those same books that they used to present the teachings to people, to us. But they left out the part that was going to expose that they needed to change because the truth was on the page, but because they like the original teaching they got from their first camp leader that passed on to them, who was either retired or has died, they cannot bear to change, so they don't bother mention the true part or the part of the page that they were reading from in the book they were reading from that will expose the incorrect teaching that was given to them first by their previous camp leader. And all it is just that the first camp leader that they knew when they came in 40 years ago may not have been doing it intentionally to deceive them and the people they were teaching. It's just that that was the level of their knowledge. It got passed on to them in that way, and they never knew that the person got it from this other book that would tell some more information. They never knew. So they ran with it, the same way I did, the same way you all did. But when I read certain things now, I understand that some of the things that people are fighting with me about, when I finally come upon those books or those websites, I see that when you read 5 more pages, it explains. Sometimes the next paragraph on the same page tells some more information that gives a different and more fitting understanding, a more correct understanding. But they don't tell you that part because they refuse to change. They will lose too much. And so it becomes frustrating for the rest of us who just want to find the Most High, to try to decipher through who's lying and who's not, and people are getting frustrated. It's very, very sad. And in some cases, what they've done is they've pushed their knowledge on us and tell us that this is the truth. And because they sound vibrant and they sound different from the Christian church, you just assume that everything is right. Because see, what I found out is, if you say to people, you stop them anywhere at your place of work, in the parking lot, on the street, or wherever, or you're sitting eating some restaurant, food court, or whatever, and you start to talk to somebody, yeah, you know, you're Israelite, yeah, Deuteronomy 28 and whatever, and you start going into it. That sounds so true. So then the person then is likely to believe everything else you're going to teach, because they're so young and new to this knowledge. Why? Because the first bit of information was true, Deuteronomy 28, slave ships and all that. Psychologically, we will accept the rest of what you say as truth. Only when one does further digging do they find out that not necessarily everything is true that you were teaching them at the first. And when it is brought to their attention, they shut you down, they don't want to talk about it anymore, they ostracize you, things like that. It's crazy. And so they go on and they teach their stuff like it is just point blank truth, when not everything that they're teaching is truth. How can you just come out of slavery? Our people just come out of slavery. And we're still in the slave lands, and they're doing very, very strategic deceptions to deceive us and deceive everybody else, even their own people, and think that you got all the truth just like that. It takes a lot of time. So maybe sometimes what we should do is learn from the past teachers. When they told you everything was true just because they forced you to come to their Sabbath meeting, or let me be nicer and said they had you come to their Sabbath meeting and they teach you, they just teach you like everything is the truth. I have learned already. And now I'd rather present certain things. I'll just present like this. These are my thoughts on this subject, which is what I'm doing here. With the evening and the morning was the first day. These are my thoughts. After looking at it again for myself this time, with no one assisting me, because people have assisted me for all the other times on this matter, now for myself looking into it, my thoughts are that the day and the night are different time periods. And the evening and the morning were the first day does not mean that the day was a 24-hour period, the way we go by 24 hours now. And that my thoughts are also that the day, evening and the morning was the first day, does not mean that the daytime and the nighttime was day. Because day and night are just not day, people. There's a reason why it's called day and night. So these are just my thoughts. I'm not saying this like it's just the absolute truth, because I'm still so new in Torah as I keep searching, because the deception is so interwoven, right? Into so many different ways that one has to really wonder. So take the information I'm giving you, look into it for yourself, and you decide. I know that for me going forward, and so far when thinking of other things in the scriptures, it helps me to understand more by looking at it this way, as the day being the bright time, the bright part of time, and the night being the dark part of time when people usually go down to sleep. You know? So that's how I look at it. So what I thought I would do today is just give some more information on this. Now, if I just run like a regular search in online here for day, it's giving me a definition for day, and it says the time between sunrise and sunset. And it says also a period of 24 hours as a unit of time. Now that's what they're saying here in these modern dictionaries. A period of 24 hours as a unit of time, reckoned from one midnight to the next, corresponding to a rotation of the earth on its axis, a particular period of the past or an era. So they're saying 24 hours running from midnight to the next midnight. Now, in this modern days when we've got all these fancy universities and so on, for educated people to make dictionaries to educate the world, to be telling you that a day is from midnight to the next midnight, just doesn't cut it anymore. Day cannot be midnight, people. It's saying midnight. Midnight. So from sunrise to sunset. Now, let me look here now in the Zondervan Compact Dictionary. Bible Dictionary, of course. Let's look up, because I'm going to look at these different words. I'll probably look up the word horizon. I'll look up day and evening for sure, or morning and evening, and probably day and night, just to give a little bit more information than I covered yesterday. Now, in this Zondervan dictionary, day, here's what they say it means. A word having various meanings in the Bible, denoting time from sunrise to sunset. And then they give a lot of scriptures. I don't want to get into all the many scriptures. I just want to just give you just some common sense stuff and definitions. Because one of the problems I've realized too is that they corner you with all these scriptures. Now, I'm definitely going to do some more, another video with some more scriptures. But for this one, it's going to be a lot of definitions. You're going to see me reading from different Bibles and dictionaries as well. I don't know, I've probably got 4 or 5 different Bibles here and 4 or 5 different dictionaries as well. But one of the things that we do as Israelites are doing Old Testament teaching, different from the Christian church, is that we feel if we spit out 20 verses, you feel powerful. You know, a lot of verses back to back, and people can be so skillful with the amount of verses that they use and the way that verses are aligned convinces you of something that the scriptures are not actually saying. Because arrangement of verses makes a particular effect. And it really does. It's just like problem-solving skills. The arrangement of information can determine what solution you come up with. So keep that in mind. So you can arrange Bible verses that you quote when you're teaching in a way to convince the listener that what you are saying is correct. But if the verses are arranged in a different way, it will be shown that it does not agree with what you are saying. So no matter how you arrange it, you might have to still go ahead and give some further interpretation. So even though they say the word day has various meanings in the Bible, then they still go on to give the general all across the board meaning, or basic meaning that it has, which is denoting time from sunrise to sunset. And they give you Psalm 74:16. Time in general, Judges 18:30, and a few others. Like I said, I don't want to get into all of those right now, because a lot of us, you know way too many scriptures. You don't have any friggin' common sense. It's just so very upsetting that you got all these people with so many scriptures and they don't have a lick of common sense. And the reason why you remain with little common sense is because your teachers are deceiving you. Because they refuse to change because they will look like an idiot. So they force stuff down your throat. They force stuff down your throat and just tell you, well, the Bible says it, the Bible says it. Sure, the Bible can say day, but what does it mean? Because obviously I just told you here it says day has different meanings. So now someone else comes and says a day is as 1,000 years with the Lord. So now somebody says the day in creation was 1,000 years. So you see how this thing can just go everywhere? So you can quote that other verse that says 1,000 years. Just like I was saying earlier, the arrangement of verses, how you put them together in a certain order can lead the people a certain way. So if I wanted to tell you that it's 1,000 years, and I haven't studied that part yet, but I don't think it is in this case with the Genesis story. But if I wanted to teach that it's 1,000 years, then what I would do is just read Genesis chapter 1 and start to list out all the verses that hint at 1,000 years. And so I lead you to think that. Unger's Concise Bible Dictionary. Let's look at what it says for day. Okay, day. A definition here, it says that part of the solar day which is light, as in Genesis chapter 1 verse 5. All right, and let me read Genesis 1 verse 5 for you again. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So they're saying that means that is speaking of the solar day. So, normally a lunar would be dealing with night. So he's telling you solar day. So because they're trying to communicate to you that day is speaking of the part that has to do with the brightness or activity of the sun, where you are experiencing and seeing and feeling the activity of the sun. So that's what day has to deal with as far as Unger's Concise Bible Dictionary is concerned. And I won't read the scriptures here, but if you want to look them up, he's saying it deals with that solar part of the day, which is light, not night when you're trying to sleep. And he gives his references for that. Genesis 1 verse 5 and verse 14. Then John chapter 11 verse 9. And then he also says here a period of 24 hours in Matthew 17 verse 1. Luke 24 verse 21. It's funny that I read to you the definition of from the dictionary. Modern dictionary is telling you a 24 period. And as he's able to show, according to his belief, from the Old Testament verse or verses he mentioned here, that it has to do with the solar lighted part of the day. But as soon as he hits the New Testament, all of a sudden it turns to a 24-hour period. He's able to show, according to his belief, from the Old Testament verse or verses he mentioned here, that it has to do with the solar lighted part of the day. But as soon as he hits the New Testament, all of a sudden it turns to a 24-hour period, which is what the modern teachings in the dictionary is pointing to. As if the world has changed now to go into a 24-hour period from midnight to midnight. So that's just kind of strange. Let me look for, that's day. Let's look for, let me see if he's got night in this book here. Okay, he doesn't have the word night on its own in Unger's dictionary, but he's got nighthawk. So look at what he says for nighthawk. An unidentified bird listed as unclean in Leviticus 11:16. Though most English versions render it nighthawk, the bird is better known as the nightjar, that's Jar, as the nightjar or goat sucker. Goat, like a goat. So goat sucker. The Septuagint and Vulgate identify the Hebrew word with the owl. So it could be the owl, he's saying. And what do you know about owls? They're associated with night. No wonder it's called nighthawk. So they're trying to tell you that even by this bird having as a part of its name the word night, is telling you that it is connected somehow with the owl and with nighttime when it is dark, letting you know that even from way back then, even in ancient times, people understood the word night to have to do with darkness, or a time when the solar day or the sun was not evident or active, letting us know that, as it seems to me, that long time ago, when the world just started as we know it, that a day was not considered to be 24 hours, running from midnight to midnight or from evening to the next evening. But a day was rather the lit part of time when people have more bustling activities and you're wiping sweat from your forehead and so on. And at the end of that, you would usually go and have supper or dinner as you get ready for evening time when the day is closing out and night is soon approaching. Okay, let me look in this other Bible now. Which Bible is this? Now, I didn't read these verses from all these stuff and these dictionaries, definitions prior to recording, so they're just going to surprise me as much as they might surprise you. So it's not like I planned this and, I looked it up yesterday when the information I presented yesterday in the first video. I looked at that before, but in this case, I'm just breaking out these books I've got here. This is the ASV American Standard Version, released 1901, and this is the 1929 version. And this, or it's called the Standard Bible, but this one is from 1929. The Standard Bible it's called the Standard Bible because it's what's normally available in North America. So let's look at what they have to say about, see how they put it in Genesis chapter 1. And he said, let there be light, and so on. And verse 5, and Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So again, here they're telling you, it seems so far, no matter how different words they may use, the Bible seems to be consistent with that he called the light part day. But then, and the darkness he called night, and there was evening and there was morning one day. See how that sounds different? Because normally the KJV will tell you, and the evening and the morning was the first day. But this here, from 1929 Bible here says, and there was evening and there was morning one day. So you see how even, it's just trying to change. I think the more, nobody's arguing that he called the light day and the darkness night. But obviously something is going on in the next part of the sentence after that says evening and the morning were the first day. There's a lot of confusion. Why? Because somebody is trying to make confusion. That's my sense. Because I've looked at a lot of verses for different topics that I've been studying on for the past few months, and the idea is coming to me that certain things are just so straight and in your face and there's no argument from almost anyone about it. But then there is a doubling up of the information by presenting something very soon after that clear-cut part of the verse that comes in the last part of the verse or in the verse after it or so, that tends to try to bring either confusion or show an opposite. Right? Let me give you an example and then I'll get back onto this. And let me tell you, this is something I'm going to be weighing in on. but obviously not now, because I'm still studying it. But if we look in the book of, this is good. This is going to be good studying for you. And I'm gonna really teach on this. I've got tons of notes that I've made from my own studies on this. But look in Psalm 51 to give an idea of what I mean, that there is a doubling up or a twisting of information. Psalm 51 and verse 16. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. So then it makes me wonder, why are we being told that Israelites were offering all kinds of sacrifices and that we should be waiting to get back to Jerusalem to offer sacrifices and so on, and carrying your lamb and so on? The psalmist here is saying you do not delight in sacrifices. And that again makes me wonder why a sacrifice of Jesus is needed. He does not delight in sacrifices, but then you tell me that prophets were prophesying, like Isaiah and others, that Jesus was going to come to sacrifice on Calvary for us, when he does not delight in that. He doesn't delight in it, he desires it not, meaning it's not in his mind, he doesn't care about that. He doesn't want that. He does not delight in it. He doesn't want it. But look at the doubling up and the twisting and the confusion that's in the scriptures, and that people go haywire with when they make their other translations. He just told you that the creator of the heaven and the earth and of all of life does not desire the thing, and David was a man after the Most High's heart, which means he has the understanding of the Most High as far as the Most High has given him. And he understands that the Creator does not desire sacrifice, does not delight in it. Yet you tell me that your Bible says that the Most High wants Israel to give up sacrifice and he smells a sweet savor. He doesn't delight in it. If he's smelling a sweet savor, isn't that delight? The sweetness expresses his delight in it. Look, when I teach the sacrifices, some of you are going to hate me. And the people who are seeking truth are going to start to say, because they're going to start to question stuff. Because you must question if you are on a search for wisdom. You must. The psalmist here, David, King David, says he does not delight in it. Then if you go down now to the next verse, he says, the sacrifices of the Most High are a broken spirit. So when he tells you what the Creator does not want, then he tells you what he wants. A broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart, you will not despise. So he just told you what he does not desire, then he tells you what he will desire. He does not desire sacrifice, but he desires broken spirit, contrite heart. At first he tells you what he does not delight in, which is burnt offerings and those kind of animal sacrifices. But then he goes on to tell you what he does delight in and what pleases him, which is a broken spirit and a contrite heart. So the sacrifices that the Creator delights in and enjoys and will receive and desires is a sacrifice of you, a broken heart, not a cut up animal. I'm reading the Bible, people. And look at the smart ones that are going to tell you, yeah, but why doesn't he read down the next couple of verses? I will read it. Here it goes down about 2 more verses. Well, okay, let's read the last 2 verses. Do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then shall they offer bullocks upon thine altar. And they say, yeah, see, he wants the sacrifices. No, he does not damn well want them. How can you have the man after the Creator's own heart tell you what the Creator has in his heart? That what is in his heart is to see us have a broken and contrite spirit and let that be our sacrifice. And that he does not desire or delight in your animal sacrifices. But after Jerusalem is built up, then he's going to delight in it when the Bible says he does not change. He doesn't want those animal sacrifices. And you see, they set the animal sacrifices some way back, even in Genesis, talking about he killed an animal to put clothes on Adam and Eve. He killed an animal that was an animal sacrifice of the lamb, pointing to Jesus the lamb. That's just to set you up. The Bible doesn't say that he made a sacrifice. pointing to Jesus Christ or the Hebrew Mashiach who would come thousands of years later. It doesn't say that he offered a sacrifice. It says that he made them clothes. He was putting them out of the garden and he made them coats of skin. Does that mean every time somebody was making a coat in the Old Testament that they were offering a sacrifice that pointed to the Hebrew Mashiach at Calvary? And the next question, which I've already asked in my New Testament is fake years, is people offer sacrifices unto the Most High or unto their pagan gods. Why is the Creator offering a sacrifice unto himself? In Genesis 1, when he made the coats of skin, if you say that's a sacrifice, why is God offering a sacrifice to God? People who offer sacrifices because they need something from the God they're offering it to. The Creator does not need anything from a God, so he's not offering sacrifices unto anybody, even unto himself. He does not need that. So he was not offering sacrifice. I've never read anywhere where God offered a sacrifice unto God. So that can't be what it means. And so you see now the doubling up of information where we get thrown off because somehow something has to be improper about the scrolls or about the way they have been presented to us. And I would bet that there are scrolls more ancient than the so-called Dead Sea Scrolls that tell the real truth. And remember Moses put some of them in the ark? Because you cannot tell me either there is a different interpretation or something is wrong with this. Because, and you want to tell me, you're going after brother because you're saying there's something wrong with the Bible. Hush up and listen and use your mind. It is with the mind that you serve the Creator. The Bible cannot tell you that the Creator does not want your sacrifices of animals. And then after he allows Zion to be built up, then now you're going to offer sacrifices to him because that's what he wants in verse 19. He does not want the sacrifices in verse 16, but in verse 19 then he wants it. You're telling me that this God, the Elohim, the creator of the earth, is not a schizophrenic? And I don't mean that to be derogatory or to be, to be, missing my way or something like that. But that is what you let people think when you tell people that in verse 16 he does not want sacrifices and you teach them that. Then 3 verses later in verse 19 you teach them that he wants sacrifices. He does not want sacrifices, period. So the doubling up of information is what causes us to go astray. And that's what's going on here when we look at how it's presented and this is people thinking for themselves. Come on. I'm not going to just sit and believe you anymore. I believed the Bible teachings from I was in Christianity, from I was a boy, for all these years and went far astray from the Creator. And now when I find Torah, my mind is opening up, my mind is engaging with the text, I'm able to think for myself, and now you tell me I'm going astray because I'm not going to allow you to mesmerize my mind with your false interpretations. So the only way I can use Torah to come toward the Most High is to believe what you teach. Like I don't have a mind for myself. He made me with a mind so I can think as well. So the doubling up of the information there, or of the interpretation that says he made day to be the light part and he made the dark part to be night, seems to be contradicted by an interpretation that says evening and the morning was the first day, means day and night is the first day. No, day and night cannot be the first day. If anything, day and night would be the first day and the first night. The first day and night. But it says day was light and so on. Now, okay, let's read from this illustrated reverse dictionary. Let me see here now if they've got the word day in this. I don't know if they'll have the word day because of the kind of dictionary this is. It's a reverse dictionary. It's a kind of dictionary where if you can't remember a certain word that you're looking for, it helps you to find the word. When you don't actually know what the word is that you're trying to remember, it gives ways to find the word. I don't see the word day so far. Yes, it's got day, but look at this. It's got the word dark. The word dark in this dictionary says dim, gloomy, murky, somber. Doesn't that more sound like the dark part of time when people go down to sleep? So how can that part be day? Okay, so for day now, they says beginning a new season or payment quarter Okay, I don't need that part. Days of summer, hot and lazy. So even hot there again, you're gonna associate that with day, although sometimes night can be warm, but obviously day would be the really hot part in comparison to some nights that are hot. Nights that are hot wouldn't be as hot as days that are hot normally. Active during the day rather than days, active during the day rather than at night. See, yeah, so again, and see now he says here daybreak, spring or similar, early part or beginning of something prime. So when it says now, and the evening and the morning were the first day. Thinking of it today now, it kind of comes home to me that maybe what that was saying was, since I told you in part one that the day was the focus, so it didn't say anything about the first night. It just simply says, and the evening and the morning were the first day. Day was a focus because day was when things was being created, and day speaks to life and light and Torah and deliverance and blessings and things like that. So day was what was being focused. It also signifies spiritual life. So day was given special focus. So evening and the morning were the first day. Probably also means, since day was the focus and night might have been just a byproduct of creating day, then evening and the morning were the first day may mean, and the evening and the morning help to identify the first day in terms of its parameters or its limits or its boundaries. Because the evening tells you when the day closes off, and the morning tells you when the day starts up. Because it's starting up now. Morning means the day is coming because light is starting to come in. Let's see here if it has anything to say about night. Night, blindness. So that's the first word they used. Dealing with blindness. So obviously in blindness you can't see a thing. So anyone saying that day is 24 hours from evening until the following evening, then you're telling me that day, which is brightness, deals with blindness or darkness. That doesn't make any sense. So it cannot be a 24-hour period from one evening until the next evening, which would then run into the whole Sabbath thing, because eventually one day I'm going to have to deal with this because somebody's going to get up my beep about this. So you're saying then the Sabbath isn't from Friday evening till the next Friday evening. Well, it doesn't appear that way to me, because if it's dealing with if it's dealing with blindness and darkness, it just can't run through the night, it would seem to me. And no wonder you hear the term Sabbath day so much, because Sabbath has to do with light, daytime. It's a time of light, spiritual. In Torah, it would have to be spiritual restoration and blessing and life. Day. So Sabbath day, Sabbath life, Sabbath salvation, Sabbath rescue, Sabbath knowledge and understanding of the Most High and wisdom, things like that. Deals with daytime. So again, night here means or deals with weak vision in dim light. Not bright light, dim light, because that's the time when the moon takes over and the solar day is gone and the sun part of time is gone now, because the sun is not ruling in the sky at that point, but the moon is ruling. Okay, let's see if they've got evening. Evening, party or reception. And we know that parties and receptions are usually at that certain time when the day is coming to an end. The day has come to an end and it's not quite night yet. That's the evening time. And as I mentioned in part one, the evening seemed to me to be the closing out of the day, but also a sign pointing to the next period of time that's coming, which will be dark, which would then be nighttime. So it's like a transitionary period, just like morning is a transitionary period between the night, when the night is leaving, and the day is about to come. Evening is related to evening prayers. And so like when you do with like evening prayers, people would come and do that after work. After what time of work? Daytime work. And then you have evening prayers, right? So you see, okay, I'll get rid of this dictionary. Let me read from this Bible. This is the Good News Bible, today's English version, and this is from the American Bible Society, appears to be 1976 version from the Canadian Bible Society, Toronto. Let's look at what Genesis chapter 1 says. And he named the light day and the darkness night. And it goes on to say, evening passed and morning came. That was the first day. So right here, he's still not saying that the first day was night. You might say, well, night comes then between evening and morning. But what you have to keep in mind is, as I've told you before, a couple minutes ago, as well as in the first video on this topic, the first day, is that day is the focus of the text. Night seems to have been a byproduct of creating day, because there was always darkness and he never chose to call the darkness night until day was created, because day was what he was focusing on. All of a sudden, when day gets created, then night seems to get a name as well. But it's like there was no drive to name night, to name the darkness night. Otherwise, the text would have shown that it was all just darkness, and he called the darkness night, and then decided to make day afterwards. No, he ignored the naming the darkness, like he's treating it special or so, and went on to doing something completely different from what darkness was. And that was what? Making light. And he called that light day. And then after the fact, then he decided to give the nighttime or the darkness a name and call it night. So here when it says now, and the evening passed and the morning came, that was the first day, it's telling you that the passing of evening and the coming of morning is relative to light or daytime, which is, as I've said before in the first video, they're naming out the evening and the morning to let you know that these periods of time identified as evening and morning is how one should identify the first day. That's why it says, and the evening passed and the morning came. That was the first day. Otherwise, why wouldn't they translate it then and say, and evening passed and night came and morning came, and that was the first day? Because they cannot call night day. But since evening and morning still has some amount of light in it, because it's a transition, then it's going to be related to day in some way. It has a little bit of light in it, the evening, and a little bit of light in it in the morning, because they are connected to day, so that night does not run directly into daytime, as I mentioned in the first video. So night does not just come on suddenly and slam right into the brightness of day. Let me look for this other Bible. This is the Comparative Study Bible. It's a parallel Bible. It's got the New International Version in it. It's got 4 Bibles in it. It's got the New American Standard Bible, the Amplified Bible, and the King James Version. Like I said, I don't know what these books are going to say because I didn't prepare before I started the recording, right? So they're just a surprise to me as to you. I didn't prepare this one. I read on the first lesson yesterday. I read beforehand from the other Bible I read, but these ones I didn't. So in Genesis chapter 1, let me see what it's going to say here now. King James just says a regular thing that we know of. And he called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. That's the KJV version. Now in the Amplified version, it says, and he called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and there was evening and there was morning one day. So you see again, the focus is still always on day. They're not trying to tell you anything about night at this point. They already finished talking about night when it says he named the night. Most of the focus in the text reading coming on in the couple of verses is telling you that something about day is special. It is the focus. That's why after the creation of each day's work, it keeps telling you it was another day, like the second day and the third day, because day is the focus. Day. So then, since day is the focus throughout the chapter, one has to interpret. To be fair to the text, I would think one would then have to interpret, and the evening and the morning were the first day, as meaning that the evening and the morning is helping you to identify the limits of the first day, or how the first day can be qualified in the text. Now this is the New American Standard Version, and it says, And he called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and there was evening and there was morning one day. So a little similar to that last one. Now, the next one is the New International Version, and it says, and the Most High called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and there was evening and there was morning the first day. Letting you know that, again, the evening and the morning is identifying day one, the first day, identifying what a day is about or how it should be looked at or sized up. Okay, I've got another one. Now, that was a comparative study Bible. This is kind of similar, but it's called, like, it's probably another edition. So it's called the New Layman's Parallel Bible. And it's got the Living Bible in it. I probably got a couple of versions of the Living Bible. So let me see what this one says. Genesis chapter 1 from the Living Bible, it says, he called, okay, I'll just read all of verse 3. Then Elohim said, let there be light, and light appeared, and Elohim was pleased with it and divided the light from the darkness, so he let it shine for a while. Now the darkness could not have been shining for a while, so it would have been the light that was shining for a while. Again, showing you that light, which he ended up calling day, is the focus. So he let it shine for a while, and then there was darkness again. He called the light daytime, like I said yesterday, and the darkness nighttime, like I said yesterday. Together they formed the first day. Okay, so they right here says, so this is probably the first or second time that I've read now that somebody is saying from all these different stuff that the night and the day is calling out. But we see that most people have interpreted the text as meaning that the light part alone is the day. So he says here the light and the night is day. But like I said to you, such interpretations make no sense to me. And you have to think, if I run over now to the Revised Standard Version, just on the side of the page, that then goes back to saying, and there was evening and morning was one day. You have to see that when you read in the Bible, how can the Creator talk to you if what he's saying does not match up your common sense from the mind he gave you? Your mind is used to interpret the stuff. Your mind is used to interpret the stuff. How can you make a computer program to run that you made from a certain language, and then you're going to later, like the following week, make another program from a different language that cannot read from the language of the first program and cannot communicate with the first program? It don't make any sense. So if the Creator is giving you revelation so that you can come to find him and know him, he must present the information to you in a way where the mind that he has given you and can understand and intercept what he is communicating, or there will be no revelation. So that when understanding comes to you from the revelation he has given, when the information comes, your mind has to process it in terms of your real world experience. How you live on the earth should help you to understand the communication the Creator has given to you, or there will be no understanding. Once there is no understanding, then there is no revelation, because to you, the Creator has not been revealed. He can talk 1,000 words. If your mind cannot process it, because it does not fit into the understanding of how your mind normally works and thinks, you have received no revelation, even though he speaks 1,000 words to you. So if the Creator is going to give you revelation, it must give you understanding. And your understanding cannot possibly include that the darkness of time, when you have to get up and light a candle or turn on your light bulb, when you have to deal with that, that cannot let you understand that it is day, people. Day has to do with light, that's daytime. Night is nighttime. So a day cannot be from evening to the following evening. That does not make any sense, people. Let's look at this other book, Collins Etymological and Reference Dictionary. See what it says again. I didn't look this up. Let's see, because I don't even know if it has the word in it, but let's see. I'll look up the word night first. Okay, it's got night, and it says etymology of night here is saying the time from sunset to sunrise. I mean, okay, so again, night is the time from sunset to sunrise. Now let me be just very silly and look up what sunset means in just a regular dictionary online. Night is from sunset to sunrise. So it says here sunset means the time in the evening when the sun disappears, because like I told you, the Creator said in Genesis chapter 1 that the day is closing out, right? So basically evening is when the day is closing out, and it's a sign showing that night is coming or darkness is coming. So sunset is a time in the evening when the sun disappears or the solar day is going out or daylight fades, which means what? Night is coming on. So now let's look up sunrise. Sunrise, the definition of sunrise is the time when the sun appears above the horizon in the morning. So that's kind of like saying the start of day. You know, when you're getting ready for work? Dawn or daybreak. Daybreak, we know, means that's when, so the colors are in the sky when the sun slowly appears above the horizon. Horizon dealing with that sort of imaginary line where the earth seems to meet the sky. So the etymology of the word night from this dictionary, etymological dictionary, is telling you that night is from sunset to sunrise, which would then means it's the time when the hours are progressively beginning to become darker and darker until you go down to sleep, and you continue to sleep through that dark period of a few hours. That's what night means. So the first day cannot be that, because it clearly said in Genesis chapter 1 that the light is day. So if you are sleeping in the darkness, then evening and the morning was the first day cannot be interpreted to mean that a day is from 24 hours from evening to the following evening, or as the modern dictionaries are telling us, that a day is 24 hours from midnight to midnight. So they confused us throughout history and throughout time, telling us that the day is from evening to the following evening, 24 hours later, to now going and complicating it more to telling you that the day is 24 hours from midnight to midnight. That they have us going all over the place. I mean, is it 24 hours measured from evening to evening or from midnight to midnight? Which is it? That's why deception flourishes. Because whenever people start to figure out something by using the common sense mind that the Creator gave them, they change it up and give you a different definition. People are figuring out, 5 million more people are figuring out this word. Let's add another word in the dictionary. People are buying this Bible dictionary too much because it explains a certain word. Let's start to edit the Bible dictionaries and pull that off the shelves and make another one and change the definition. Don't change it too radically because they'll figure out something's wrong. Just do it slightly, a slight change in the and so on. Oh goodness. Okay, that was night. Let's look up the word day in the etymology in this dictionary. Day. The word day. See that night? The etymology said it was from sunset to sunrise when it's rising in the morning. But now day is the opposite. It says day is the period from sunrise, that's morning time, to sunset, that's evening time. The period of the Earth's revolution on its axis, according to what they're saying here. But then now they go and they say 24 hours because that modern definition is coming in. I don't know. The dawn. I don't know. It just seems to me, from all that I'm reading, even though a couple of things have said, the other older interpretation that I've lived with all my life, that is 24 hours from evening to evening or midnight to midnight, most of what I've read here so far is seeming to point me at least towards the idea, from what I understand in the scriptures, to be that daytime is a part of light that is ruled by the sun. Let's look up the word. I looked up day and night. Let's look up evening. Okay, this one doesn't have the word evening in it, but let's see if it has morning. It's funny because looking up morning, I saw the word misguide and it's saying to direct. And this is basically, wrong teaching is just directing you into a certain place. That's how we become so dumb. Morning. Maybe they don't have morning here as well. Okay, well, it doesn't have the word morning, but it says morn, which is the first part of the word morning. And it says morn means the first part of the day. And that again is pointing to when it says and the evening and the morning was the first day. It's telling you how the day is measured, like I said. So that would then mean, and when it says the evening and the morning were the first day, it's telling you that the evening closed out the day and the morning is what starts it. Finish with that book. Let's look at the Living Bible. Living Bible, and this is from 35th printing, November 1973. And it says here from Genesis chapter 1 in verse 5. So he let it shine for a while after he divided the light from the darkness. He let it shine for a while. He called the light daytime and the darkness nighttime. Together they formed the first day. Okay, that's what I read already, the Living Bible. So this is just a different version of the Living Bible I read a few minutes ago, but it's saying the same thing. They said together they formed the first day. But you got to think too, instead of saying together they formed the first day means the night is day. That's more letting you know not that the night part is day, but it is a way to tell you that the night is so insignificant to light or to day that it doesn't need any mention because light or daytime is the focus. It's like when you go, because the light and the day deals with wisdom, like I said before, and salvation, things like that. It's like when you go and you buy a loaf of bread, you get the loaf of bread, and it comes in the paper bag or plastic bag. You don't normally say you bought a bag and a bread because the bag is so insignificant. It's the bread that you're going to buy, but they have to serve it to you in a cover, in a wrapping. So it's like the night is that way insignificant as well when it comes to wisdom or light or day. So it doesn't get mentioned that much. It's just simply there, it's created and it got named, but the evening and the morning were the first day. And so they'll sometimes say the evening and the morning made the first day. It's just a way to let you know the presence of night is there because you cannot identify day without, it's going to be difficult for you to identify day without evening, night, and morning. But day is the real focus. Because remember, after he got up and saw everything being in chaos, he started to create. What was he interested in creating first? Light or day? As soon as he got the light created, he named that right away. He slapped a name on it, day, because that is the focus. And again, now you go buy a smoothie. What you want to put in your body is the drink. You want a cold drink on a hot day. You get a nice fruit smoothie. But they give you a cup and a straw. You don't want the cup, you don't want the straw, but you must have it if you're going to order the smoothie. They can't pour the smoothie into nothing to hand to you. And so the day then is created, but night and evening and morning are just residual, or they surround the day because the day is the glory of them all. The day is what the Creator was working on, trying to produce. Okay, I'm going to read, I know it's taking a while, I'm going to read, I still have a couple more books here, so Smith's Bible Dictionary. You know what, maybe for time I won't read day, night, evening, morning from this now. I'll probably just look at this one. I'll just try day. Just to cut down some of the time because the video's getting long and I am tired anyway, and the recorder might shut off. So day, the variable length of the natural day at different seasons. Okay, here, so look at how the confusing interpretations happen now, which I talked about at the start. I'm going to give some scriptures in another video. But when you look at this now, like it says here, day, the variable length of the natural day at different seasons led in the very earliest times to the adoption of the civil day as a standard of time. Then they said the Hebrews reckoned the day from evening to evening, as in Leviticus 23:32, and they derived it from Genesis 1 verse 5. Now right away, you would have thought that all along. Based on the information I have given in the first video and from the definitions I've given here in the different dictionaries and from the different Bible versions I've read from, all of a sudden now you can start to think that there's something wrong with that long-standing understanding. Because notice that they're giving that the Hebrews call the day from as being from evening to evening in Leviticus 23 verse 32 and deriving it from Genesis 1 verse 5. But I've read to you Genesis 1 verse 5 from different versions, and for me what stands out most in most of them that I read is that it has to do with light part only. But he points to Leviticus 23 and verse 32. I'm going to read it for you, even though I didn't want to get into the verses in this video. But look at what it says. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month. At even from even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. And so now they say like this holiday is from even to even. So the Hebrews celebrated, called a day as being from even to even. And they say, see. I mean, my first question when I saw this right here in this dictionary, Smith's dictionary, is why is he pointing out that verse? Because it's like I said, it's leading you somewhere. The arrangement of information that is presented leads you a certain way. Because if you would read all the other many verses that defines a day differently, you would get a different understanding. But like I said, I'm not going to go into all the verses now because I had a very good brother help me with that long time ago when I wasn't thinking of any of this. So I've got all those verses that I'm still studying from him. I haven't read all of them yet. I've read most of them, but in terms of studying them, I'm still studying them. But that's not the reason why I even thought of all this stuff, though. This was just coming up on me for other reasons that I was studying something else. But obviously, if he's pointing out Leviticus 23:32, he's passed so many other verses in the Bible that talks about a day in different ways, and he never put those in the definition here in the Smith's Bible Dictionary. Why is he giving you this one? Because it's like I said, it's to direct you in a certain direction. But when I look at it, that direction is to let you think the day is from even to evening. But when I look at this very verse that he used, look at my understanding how it's different. It shall be to you now in the 9th day of the month at even from even. At even from even unto even, which means at evening from evening unto evening. That right there to me is not saying that the day is a full 24 hours from one evening until the following evening. What it's saying to me is that in the 9th day, at the evening part of that day, which as I've explained to you in the definitions of evening before, that the evening is the closing out of the day or the latter part of the day. So what it is saying is that you are going to begin this on that 9th day at the part of day that shows the day is closing out. But it is still day. It's just simply closing out, but it is not night yet. So it's still day. It's just the latter part of the day. But even though it is evening and the day is closing out, night has not yet come. So anything that says day, when he says you're starting it at that day, the 9th day, at the late part of the day, he's not telling you to start it at night. It's still the day, but it is the latter part, which is known as evening, when the light is going down, but it is not yet night. But then now he says you are going to go until the following evening. Notice how carefully the text avoids the word night. Because even though from evening unto evening gets you to run over to the following evening and runs overnight for the purpose in this celebration, in this scripture, they still avoid the word night, because if he's talking about celebrating it on this particular day, it's day that's still the focus. Night is not the focus of the verse. Because he is instructing you to go from this evening until the following evening, you are automatically going to run overnight. But the night is avoided in terms of specifying it and bigging it up, because night is not the focus in the text. Again, showing you that night is being downplayed. So one cannot take this seriously in interpreting Genesis 1:5. Okay, so to show you that the arrangement or the presentation of information changes how you interpret things if you're not careful. I showed through the different versions I read, and only one or two, although at this point I'm remembering only one, the Living Bible, although I read it twice because I read two editions of it, two different years. But it was saying basically the whole day and night makes a day. But I'm saying no, a day is just a light part. But all the other versions is pointing to a day being the light part, and the definitions I've read from these different dictionaries, which include regular English dictionaries, but also Bible dictionaries and etymological dictionaries, are telling you that the day is different from the night, because day is linked to light and night is darkness. So, but he arranges it here in this Smith's Bible dictionary, by arranging it so that he shows you the evening till evening in Leviticus 23 verse 32, and then he arranges Genesis 1 verse 5 afterwards, so that once evening to evening is in your mind, it's arranged like that first from Leviticus 23 verse 32. Then if you see Genesis 1 verse 5 comes afterwards, your mind is prepped already with evening to evening, a 24-hour day, which will let you think that night is a part of the day. So he can always bring in Genesis 1 verse 5 because you're already hooked to Leviticus 23 verse 32 that says evening to evening. But if he had presented Genesis 1 verse 5 first, it would be a little bit more difficult to pull off that understanding that he's trying to give in this dictionary. But it's just a presenting of information. But you have to look at the rest of the verses too and try to see it some more, like I've done with the dictionaries and so on, right? Because what if I wanted to say something else? Then I could pull in a verse like Jeremiah chapter 6 verse 4. Prepare ye war against her. Arise and let us go up at noon. And what does noon mean? Midday, the bright part of the day. Woe unto us, for the day goeth away, for the shadows of the evening are stretched out. He's letting you know that once the evening is coming in, that means the day is going away, because it is still day, but it is the latter part of day, because the light is going away. So they're telling you that day is just about done, and a different part of time is coming on, which is going to be nighttime. So in the following verse, now in verse 5, he says, arise and let us go by night and let us destroy her palaces. Why does he say it like that? Because the day is going away, he says. So now we got to do it by night. So if a Smith's Bible Dictionary is saying the Hebrews called a day as being evening unto evening, which means evening running over into night and going to morning, and includes day, includes all those four parts, evening, night, morning, day, then why is it that the Hebrews are here calling day as being the bright part that includes noon and brightness of the sun, and going up until the latter part of the day when the evening is starting to come in to show that the light is going away? Why is it that the Hebrews are then calling that as being different from the darkness, which is night, when they said, let us go by night? There would be no need for them to say, let us go by night. They would just simply say, let us go by day, because the whole 4 periods, which includes night, is still day. So they would just still be going by day. It don't matter how dark it is. That's because the Hebrews weren't calling the 4 periods day. So when it's written like that, and the evening and the morning were the first day, it's not communicating to you that those particular 4 periods that include the night is also day. It's simply telling you evening and the morning, where the first day is telling you that evening and the morning is the way that the day opens and closes. That's all it's saying. It opens up with morning and it closes with evening. The day closes with evening and it opens or starts with morning. That's what it really means. It's not telling you evening and morning is the first day. It's not telling you that evening and night and then morning going into day makes a full day with all those 4 different time periods. That's not what it's saying. It's just simply saying the evening was closing out and the morning is opening up the day. So you see how by giving enough, okay, let's just give another verse. Like I said, I didn't want to get into it now, but let me see if I can pull in another verse here just to show you that sometimes people are just giving us one isolated verses. You got to go into regular dictionary, your regular English dictionary, plus find different kinds of dictionaries. Like I've read from you here from an etymological dictionary. I've read from regular basic dictionary. I've read from modern dictionary. I've read from a reverse dictionary. I didn't get into the Rogers thesaurus here. And I've got an encyclopedic dictionary here, which I didn't even read from yet. And then I've got an 1858 dictionary, which I don't even know if I'll bother put that in. The recorder might shut off by the time I get to it. So, because religious teaching is such that they just want to tell you something and you must go by it. No, you got to dig. Why? Because we are not living in the times anymore when these things were originally spoken. We're not living thousands of years ago when these things were said. If you say Moses wrote the first 5 books, you aren't living there. And anybody can change language over time because of how culture has evolved and so on, and language evolved and changed, as well as wars will change language, just like wars and kings change maps. They can change anything in the wording and so on. Letters and characters will change in a language over time. So all kinds of things can happen. This is why I pull out all these different books to show you day is not night, people. Day is just brightness. Day does not run overnight. But then think of it too, day and the evening and the morning were the first day. Like I said, it's just a way to help you identify that the first day had happened. It's like now, if I say, okay, I'm going on a train ride, a trip, or any trip, just like I'm going out of town for 3 days. I won't be back until, like it's the first, I won't be back until the 4th. I'm gone for 3 days. I may not necessarily tell you 3 days and 3 nights or whatever it is, right? Because if I'm gone for 3 days and it's the 1st and I'm not coming back till the 4th, you automatically understand that night is included. But because I don't do much activity at night because I'll be sleeping like everybody else normally sleeps, I treat night as insignificant because night is not my focus. I'm just going to be sleeping. So it's like in the text in Genesis 1 verse 5, evening and the morning were the first day. Night was so insignificant in a sense because day was what he was dealing with. So he just simply says day. But then he just tells you the evening and the morning happened as a way to helping you to understand how the timing of day was calculated or viewed. Is that it was, or the length of day is understood by identifying evening and identifying when morning is. That's all Genesis 1 verse 5 was saying. It wasn't saying that a day is from evening till 24 hours following that to the next evening. That's not what it was saying. I'm gone for 3 days means I'm gone for 3 days and nights. That's all it means when I say I'm gone for 3 days. Let me see if I can read something, another verse here. Look at Jonah 4 and verse 7. But the Most High prepared a worm when the morning rose. Which means what? It's like the whole sunrise and sunset thing that I read to you from the dictionaries earlier. When the morning rose, which means what? A new day is starting. Because daytime is what's being communicated here. So when the morning rose the next day, telling you that in Genesis 1 verse 5, I was correct in saying that evening is just simply letting you know when the day is done, and morning is letting you know when the day is starting. So right here when it says a worm when the morning rose, is telling you a worm, he prepared a worm when the next day was starting. Letting you know that relative to the current day, it was the following day, the day that followed that, or the next day as it says. And it smote the gourd that it withered. And verse 8, and it came to pass when the sun did rise. See, again, still dealing with daytime because it had already said in the verse before the next day. So it's dealing with day again. So there's no night here because the sun is not going to rise in a nighttime. Okay, and so again, like with Smith's Bible Dictionary, as he said, the Hebrews referred, and I mean, pardon me for going in on his name like that in his book because it's not just Smith's Bible Dictionary. A lot of people have said that over the years, right? You'll run a search even online, they tell you evening until evening. The Hebrews call it day. But if the Hebrews call it a day, why am I seeing again that they're referring to day as being different here when the sun rises like I just read? But here again in Malachi 1 verse 11, it's showing you that the Hebrews was thinking of day as something else. Malachi 1:11, for from the rising of the sun, which means morning, the sun is coming up because it's another day now, a new day. From the rising of the sun, even unto the going down of the same, which would mean evening because the sun is closing out. I mean, the going down of the sun is closing out. Just like Genesis 1 verse 5. It's closing out. Evening is closing out the day. So from the rising of the sun, morning, unto the going down of the same, evening, shall my name shall be great among the Gentiles. So through daytime, right? Because he works in daytime. And in every place incense shall be offered unto my name, and a pure offering for my name. And you hear even the term the daily sacrifice. Why? Because it's daytime they were offering the sacrifices. My offering for my name shall be great among the heathen, saith the Most High. So anyway, let me run off here and read another. Let me see if this has anything. This is the Reader's Digest Great Encyclopedic Dictionary. Let's see if they've got anything here for day. Okay, day, again from this encyclopedic dictionary. Day, time during which the sun is above horizon, as I mentioned before. Horizon is where they say there's that imaginary line where the sun appears to be above that imaginary line where the earth appears to meet the sky. So it's a time, day is a time during which the sun is above the horizon. Interval of light between successive periods of darkness or night. Dawn, daylight. So you see that? They're saying it's the interval of light, or it's a period of light between successive periods of nighttime. So that means between two nights. The light that happens between those two night times is what is called day. Why? Because the period between those two night times when you're sleeping is called daytime. Daytime. So encyclopedias here are telling you day is a different thing from night, and day does not include night. So the Hebrews could not have referred to day as being from evening to evening, because that would include night. So whenever you see evening to evening anywhere in the Bible, you would have to understand that it means this kind of thinking that I'm exposing here in this lesson. That's how it should be thought of. Okay, let's get rid of this now. I could look up evening and so on from this, but let me move on. I'll get rid of that. Let's look up this other Bible here. What does it say? This is the Holy Bible Revised Standard Edition, and from 1952. This one says, Genesis 1 verse 5, and it says, and he called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and there was evening, and there was morning one day. See how that's saying it? Again, he's ignoring, after he simply named the night the way he first named day, because he's naming day first, because day is significant. Then after he names the night, he's done with night now. So he goes on saying day 2, day 3, day 3, and day 4, and so on. But in the same verse here, after he's done naming night, then he goes on to say, and there was evening, and there was morning one day. Because he's telling you here that if it's like an equation, he's telling you, and there was evening plus there was morning equals a day. Because there was evening means there was an evening that closed out the day, and there was a morning. It lets you know that the start to the ending closes it out. But even though it's written where it's written evening first, I don't know why it's written evening first. It could have been presented like that for us from whoever may have, hear me now, I say may have tried to do something with the scrolls, and I'm not going to back down on that, because you have not seen the most ancient scroll when it was these things were first written, and you have not. I've proved already in my New Testament is Fake series video that people have said that the scrolls were tampered with. And you cannot tell me that the Romans went and confiscated the scrolls from the Hebrews. Confiscated them all because they didn't want them to have it. And then come up and tell you, oh, there's a Dead Sea Scrolls, but we'll let you have that one. If they're telling you which scrolls you can have, even up to modern day, you have to suspect that. They're not going to take your scrolls, your holy book from you that empowers you, because it is a threat to them, and then turn around and give it back to you. They must have given you one, because some of the scrolls, you know how they wrote the scrolls. The scribes would go and they would just sit in the small room in a cave or wherever they're doing it, and they would hardly do anything but just eat and use the bathroom. Sometimes they'd be there for days and days and days and days and days, like they don't even bother go home to see their wife and children. And when it would take them a long time, and they had to be very careful because the scrolls were expensive to make. And if they made one simple mistake, they would throw out the entire scrolls. Even if they had gotten far, if they'd gotten all halfway through, throw it all out, even though the rest was correct. Throw it all out. It's like it's not kosher because of one mistake. That proves that mistakes were made. So who's to say they didn't take up one of the mistaken scrolls and offered it to the modern world? You cannot prove that because you prove that the reverse is true, that they gave us the correct one, because you've never seen the correct scroll to begin with. Why did the Most High tell Moses to put the commandments in the Ark of the Testimony? He said it's a witness for truth, for the true writings that were commanded. That means there were some writings hid as a witness because the Most High knew some kind of corruption was going to happen in our lives, but possibly also in the writings themselves. So it could be that, or it could simply be that it was written this way, evening first and then morning, because, I don't know, maybe that was the way they talked. That sounds kind of funny to you, but you know there's all kinds of funny expressions in the Hebrew. The more I'm reading it, the more certain things seem kind of weird. In fact, if you read the text here in the Hebrew, it gives it in cryptic kind of ways. Cryptic to us because we normally speak English. We'll just read in the beginning God created, but it might more say created God beginning and so on, right? So you see what I'm saying? So because of that, it could have been that it was translated this way because they were trying to, I don't know, right? So, I mean, you got to figure that out. But in the end, you cannot come up with day being night because it clearly says in the first part of verse 5 that day and night were different because he called the light part day and the dark part he called night. They are different. Okay, let's get off that. Let me read now. Okay, look again here from the Living Bible on Leviticus 23 verse 32. This is a different edition of the same Living Bible I read from twice already. So I got three. Pretty much it's like I got four copies of the Living Bible version, but they're all from different years. I can't bother stop to look which year this is from. But look at what it says now, Leviticus 23 verse 32. It says, "For this is a Sabbath of solemn rest, and in it you shall humble your souls and be filled with remorse. This time for atonement begins on the previous evening and goes on until the next evening." So see what he's saying there? Because when you read even the same version of the Bible, because you know they change it up all the time, eventually it starts to get clearer and clearer. What he's saying here is not that the Hebrews celebrate a day as being from evening to evening. He's just simply telling you how long this should last. It should last from this evening until the following evening. That doesn't mean he's telling you that a night is daytime. It's like if he had made it 1 week long and he said, and this feast should last from this evening and it will last you until the evening that comes 7 days later. That don't mean he's telling you that a day is 7 days long or that a day has 7 days and 7 nights. He's just simply telling you the length of time that it will last. It will last 1 whole week or will last, So he's just simply saying here, it's not telling you, this doesn't help you identify that a day is from evening to evening, because the verse here is not describing the length of a day, but Genesis 1 verse 5 describes the length of a day by letting you know that the length should be measured from the time when morning and evening happens and closes off. The day is sandwiched between the morning and the evening. Genesis 1 verse 5 measures the day like that when it says evening and the morning. It's giving a measurement. But Leviticus 23 verse 32 is not giving a measurement of how to define a day. It's giving a measurement of how long you're going to do something. Do what? Do this particular command or do this particular special Sabbath here. It's a special Sabbath, and this is how you're going to do it. You're going to let it last a long time from this evening until the following evening. He's not telling you to define a day and write a new Hebrew dictionary that says a day is from evening to evening. Okay, move on. Okay, I'll read from, let me see, 2 more. I got this, okay, this Webster's Dictionary, unabridged. So it's like a full dictionary. This is a dictionary from the 1800s. I gotta tape it up. It's in fairly good condition, but it's got the covers on. It's got pages are shaky, but the pages are all there. So, but 1858. I want to see what it says about day. And again, this all is gonna surprise me because I didn't look it up first. So you see how I entered this? Because by not looking up these things, it could just come out to say to me through all these things, and even the dictionary definitions and so on, that a day is night. So then I would have to disagree with that in the recording in front of you. But by not being afraid of what truth is going to appear to me, I can just open it on the spot and just record it. Because I'm not afraid. I don't have anything to lose. When I find the truth, I want to find the truth. That's why I called myself Yalak. Yalak Emet is dealing with Yalak, to walk, and Emet for truth. To walk in truth. But I chose the name. It didn't mean that I am walking in truth. It was when I came out of Christianity and I had a desire to find the truth and to walk in it when I found it. So it's a search for truth, and I want to walk in the truth. So I'm going to search to find it, like Jeremiah 6:16 says, walk seek for the old paths, search for it. So the name Yalak Emet means I'm really searching for truth, and that's what I'm doing. So I can open the pages right before you on the recording because I'm searching out loud so you can hear me search and read it when I find it. So day, from this old dictionary, shows you what people thought of day in the 1800s. Day, that part of the time of the Earth's revolution on its axis in which its surface is, they're getting too technical there. Okay, well, they said the part of the 24 hours when it is light. You see that here? And this man is a Christian. I understand this man is Webster's dictionary. Apparently, they say he was a Christian, and he tries in the dictionary, even though it's an English dictionary from the 1800s, he tries to give it in regular English dictionary like you and I use, but he tries to give Hebrew and Arabic words using even the Hebrew and Arabic characters whenever possible in the English definitions. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. But even so, he says here, even though he mentioned 24 hours, he says it is the part. He's not saying it's a full 24 hours from evening to evening or midnight to midnight, which would then let us really see that Hebrews measured the day from evening to evening. No, he's telling you that even in the 1800s, people understood the day to be the part of the 24 hours when it is light, like the Creator said, and Moses said from Genesis chapter 1 verse 5. It is not the full 24 hours which would include night. It is only the part of that 24-hour period that is measured having to do with light from the sun, he means. Because he said it's part of when the Earth's revolution is going on and its surface is presented to the sun. The space of time between the rising and setting of the sun called the artificial day, and God called the light day in Genesis chapter 1. Okay, so now look at it now. Look again at the confusing information. Now he goes on to say the Babylonians began the day at sunrising, the Jews at sunsetting, the Egyptians at midnight, as do several nations in modern times, and so on. So now here, after he says the part of the day that is bright or light, then he says the Jews at sunset. So now, if it's a sunset, that means evening time. So now he comes back around to saying sunset. But how can it be the part of sunset when he just told you himself that it is a light part? Because if it's beginning at sunset, then it's quickly going to enter into nighttime. You see that? So you see what I'm saying, how you've got to dig and to search? Because if people are giving you two different information, unless these Jews here parts is starting to mean when other people who are, or maybe since he mentioned Babylonians too, maybe when they went into Babylon, they started to adopt a different way of measuring it, even though Moses had said something else before, who knows? But at least he's telling you at first that in a very clear way. Even though he says here, Jews at sunset, he told you before in a very plain way that it is a part of the 24 hours that deals with light, sunlight, when the earth is facing the sun. He says it is a part, the light part of it. Let's look now at evening. Okay, no, okay, I'm in the end section. Let's look at night. Although we probably don't have to, because everybody will agree what night is. Okay, well, since I already found it, pretty much, let me just see what it says about what night is. Night. The sense may be dark, black, or it may be the decline of day, departing from. So again, natural day when the sun is beneath the. So the time after the close of life and deals with death and so on. So again, here he's saying that is the night has to deal with the sense of being dark or black, and maybe the decline of day, declining or departing of day. Letting you know again that back then in the 1800s, people understood night as being the departing or the decline of day. So if he's telling you first that day means the bright part of the 24-hour period, and then he goes on later on and says that the Babylonians dealt with day as starting at sunrise, but the Jews dealt with it at sunset. Obviously, you have to see here that something went on with those Jews at a certain point for them to come up to that. Because those same Jews or the Hebrews were first telling you that the Most High called the bright part day, which even in the 1800s, and the dark part night, which even in the 1800s, people are telling you here that the night means the going away of day, showing you that they are different periods. Different periods. Okay, final book I'll read from now, 1800s. This one is in bad condition, but it seems like all the pages are there as well. But cover has to be taped on and 2 or 3 pages, whatever. This book is a Bible, Holy Bible from 1874. And look at what it. This was an awesome Bible actually when it was made. It's got tons of nice stuff in it. It includes the Apocrypha. It's got some really. I haven't looked through all of it yet, but the first few pages has got some really nice stuff. It's got a built-in dictionary, all kinds of stuff. And they're tracing the different nations and telling you where they went from ancient times up to modern times. It's very, very nice. I didn't know they made Bibles like this so long ago. All the old Bibles I see just normally have the chapters and verses. But this got pictures and all kinds of stuff, of old time stuff, whatever. Anyway, where can I find Genesis now? Because the way this is set up. Okay, so the book of Genesis now, chapter 1. By the way, I would imagine this is King James. I assume this is King James because they're talking about, who is this to? Translators and reformers, biblical scholars. I can't see this now, but I just got this. I haven't used it much because I still need to tape it up. So, but it's probably a King James version. Anyway, look at what it says here from Genesis 1, verse 4 and 5. And Elohim saw the light that it was good, and Elohim divided the light from the darkness. So again, like the dictionary from 1800 says, he's making a distinction between the two. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. Look over in the middle of the page now what they said. So they're saying here that he set a difference between the light and the darkness. Of course, he's making it different, and that's why you get the evening and the morning, because he's setting a difference. So it seems that what they're saying here is that, and the evening and the morning were the first day, seems to me that it means, and the evening and the morning was telling the difference that made the first day different from the night. That's how you could tell it. And the evening was, and the morning was. Evening and the morning were the first day means and the evening was and the morning was, to let you know that that's how you can measure the day. Anyway, if I have any more information, find any more stuff, I'm certainly going to make another video. But like I said at the start, these are my thoughts. You take the information and let it help you in your studies. I hope whatever I said can help you if you're studying this topic. Shalom.